What's up, everyone? Aaron Negler here with Packers Daily and Cheesehead TV, coming to you live wherever you are on the internet, hopefully, because that's what we do here. We're devoted to you, Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Hello to everyone in the comments section, especially Juju here saying that Aaron Rodgers is going to get hit early and often throughout the 2019 season. And hey, you could be right. I have a little more faith in Billy Turner than you do, and that's fine. I mean, I choose to be positive here in early June. And what a June it is as Matt LaFleur ends up with a torn Achilles after playing basketball, as we detailed in my special report last Friday afternoon. Of course, it begs the question, is Matt LaFleur injury prone? Has he brought more of an injury bug to Green Bay? I guess that's something we'll have to see play out as the year goes on. Al, I'm glad you liked the title. Thanks, buddy. Kind of silly how proud I was seeing LaFleur throw a pitch in a boot, but I loved it. William, hey, that engendered some goodwill, I think. It was nice to see him there supporting Devontae and Blake in their efforts at the charity softball game on Saturday. Certainly encouraging, and you'd like to see the hug afterwards with Devontae, no question. And then Devontae's words about his coach, all very positive. Brandon, thanks a lot, buddy. That's very nice of you to say, even though I'm not quite sure why YouTube wanted to censor that. Hello, Beck. Wow, you guys got a lot of stuff to say today. I like it. Greetings from vacation. Kevin, what's up? Thanks for bringing Cheesehead TV along on your vacation, though I question your decision-making. -1 there. Feels good to be out of the triple digits on the days till week 1. Evan, you got that right. Look at that. 94, baby. Counting it down. Count it down. Julian, Nags, are you enjoying the finals? There are finals going on? My daughter's school finals? What finals are you talking about? I'm not aware of any finals. Hey, Nags, start you off right. Where do I get my Packers tickets from? Mark, look at you, bringing the heat early. Mark, if you need to, if you are in the market for some Green Bay Packers tickets, I suggest using Ticket King. You can find the link to their fine site at cheeseheadtv.com, about halfway down the page on the right. You go to Ticket King, they've been around since 1992. They can take care of all your needs for Green Bay Packers tickets, either home games or away. Ticket King, for all your Green Bay Packers ticket needs. Promotion in motion, baby. LaFleur injury is going to hurt his next contract. We'll see. It's possible. Josh Jones' situation had good depth with him. Remains to be seen when the rubber meets the road, so to speak, will be when they have their mandatory minicamp. I think anyone with a Twitter account will notice that Le'Veon Bell showed up today here in New York for the Jets because they have a mandatory minicamp. You know, you start missing money, then that's when it gets real. So until, I think it's June 11th is the official start of the 3-day mandatory minicamp. If Josh Jones is still absent then we can talk about it. But until then, it's voluntary. He's not there. That's his right. I really think Gutekunst should consider Trey Boston. You know, he's a name that gets thrown around a lot, and I think on, tape-wise, as far as you look at his game, I think it makes a lot of sense, but clearly there's something on the periphery there. The fact that he's still available and has gone through as many systems and coaches and teams as he has. Maybe he's a late summer signing somewhere. I doubt it's in Green Bay, but you never know. Hello from Galaxy's Edge. People, George Lucas is here, joining us from the recently opened Galaxy's Edge in California there. That's amazing, George. Thank you for my childhood. Deeply appreciated. Can LaFleur revive the slant and yak that has been missing? We used to dominate it. It's interesting, Patrick, because I don't think it's entirely on LaFleur. I mean, it will be incumbent upon him to get his quarterback to actually throw the slant. You know, slant flat was something that McCarthy called all the time. Rodgers only pulled the trigger on rare occasions on the slant, more and more as the years went on. Now, will it be, more of an emphasis, something that they use? I jokingly tweeted about it on Sunday afternoon. I was watching the Titans-Eagles game from last year because I wanted to see some of LaFleur in action, so to speak. And in overtime, they had a 3rd and 4, got to have it. They're down 3, and he called slant flat. and Mariota threw it into the ground at the receiver's feet. And I was joking. I mean, I said, oh, buckle up, because look, everyone got so bored of slant flat with McCarthy. Now here's slant flat with LaFleur. Just a joke. But, obviously it's a common concept, and they are going to run it every now and then. But as far as like the actual throwing of the slants, and that's up to the QB, really. And I always harken back to what Mike Holmgren used to talk about when he would tell stories about Bill Walsh coaching up the slant and the placement of the ball having to be right out, I think it was 10 inches, 5 inches, something like that, out in front of the numbers. And when Montana would inevitably throw one a little off in practice, Walsh would yell at Holmgren, I want it here. I don't want it here. I don't want it here. I want it here, because it was so important that they not break stride so that they have that yak. So yeah, that's something I'll be looking for at training camp. See how much of that is being talked about, coached up, etc. Nags, have you ever worked as the NFL writer? Not really a writer. I mean, I did at Bleacher Report, and then I did video stuff covering the league for Sports Illustrated. I know you love Joe Witt, but do you have a new Green Bay coaching crush? Yes, Mike Smith, outside linebackers. I am all in. Love that cat. Trade Josh Jones for Baker Mayfield. Something started early this morning. Josh Jackson, year 2 breakout on D, Christopher. It's a good chance. We'll see. There was a great write-up on Josh this morning on cheeseheadtv.com. Check it out if you haven't yet. Anybody who's watched this knows, for any length of time, knows his number one problem, in my eyes, is the grabbing of guys down the field. Got to eliminate that. Outside of that, I think the sky's the limit. And at least we got some good memes out of LaFleur's injury. Yeah, I mean, Matub was right on top of that. I don't see him here today, but Matub should take great credit. What up, Nags? Do you think Rodgers will wear a wrist play call sheet this year? That's a really good question, Garrett. I doubt it, but you never know. It's a possibility. Brand new system, new terminology. It's always a possibility. Let's head over to Twitter. See what's happening on the old tweet machine, with Rob starting us off with any chance of a new TV contract that will get the NFL package away from DirecTV. Yes, I think the splintering of the DirecTV hegemony is imminent. I know there's been reports of Goodell wanting to keep all the options open. They've signed on for the Thursday night streaming deal with Amazon, and they've been rotating partners there in the Thursday night package. And I think it's 2022, maybe earlier than that, 2021, 2020, somewhere around there, that the last DirecTV deal ends. And I think you'll most likely see some kind of splintering there when it comes to the rights for the Sunday package, the Sunday ticket. Because I think, obviously the way the media is headed, and I mean, look at the Champions League offerings, right? Like if you had, as far as wanting to stream it, if you had like Fubo TV, you could do it, or you could use Bleacher Report's BR Live, one-off, like $2.99 got you the whole, got you the game basically, but you don't need to subscribe. That's kind of the future, right? And as big as the NFL is, and certainly they'll drive a hard bargain, they'll get tons of money, etc. They have to start entering that marketplace, so to speak. And I think this is their best opportunity to really kind of throw their weight around, because their TV numbers, while still very impressive, that's not going to be true forever. They're cyclical. They can't stay on top indefinitely, although I think they will for a very long time. Pick one past or current Packer player you would rage at in Twitter DMs when drinking heavily. William, obviously this is off of, you see Sam Decker there is mentioned in the tweet. Sam posted a picture of a fan in his instant messages, or as I think it was on Instagram, his direct messages, who had been like railing at him for like a year silently because Sam wasn't looking at it or reading it. He just put a screenshot of this guy like, "You're a coward, Decker," and all this stuff for like a year. This guy has been DMing him. Who would I do that to? I don't know. When I was younger, maybe I would have done it to a guy or two, but now, I mean, it doesn't get that personal for me. Maybe back in the day, I may have maybe yelled at Amon Green about fumbling, but that's about it. Will Coach LaFleur be able to ride a kid's bike during training camp given his injury? Jim, that's a very good question, very pertinent. Is he injury prone? But, traditionally the coaches haven't rode the children's bicycles, so I think he'll be okay. It's about a 6-month recovery time, so he'll probably still be on a cart at that point, but we'll see. Let's head back over to the chat, shall we? Why people coming in here typing Brandon Bostic? Like, you got a death wish? What are you doing? Could you ballpark the number of times you have got to walk out onto the field at Lambeau? Woo! Onto the field? On the grass? I think once, a long time ago. And I got to say hi to Jen Latta. That's when I met her, actually. And we were on the grass a little bit and took a photo. But that was about it. On the outside, on the track, I mean, hundreds. But on the actual field, that's a rare thing. Have you reached out to BJ Raji to be a guest on Cheesehead TV? No. Nags, it's an omen. Oh my God, what do we do now? We can't even keep our poor head coach healthy. Hey. Flip that around, man. Make it a positive. He's taken one for the team. He has lifted the curse. He's got out ahead of it. Come on, man. Think positive. I know you can do it. I love when you guys ask about my gigs. Your previous beat, what was your I don't get paid enough for this moment? Oh, man. That's a really good question. Probably staying at the Detroit Airport Westin on New Year's Eve. That's a depressing gig, man. That is a depressing gig. Fan is short for fanatics, so do not tell me how people get all crazy about their team. I wouldn't dare. I wouldn't dream of it, Mark. Ever. Bigger impact player this year, Jackson or Alexander? I'm going to say Alexander, but it could be Jackson. But I'll give Alexander's playmaking ability and athleticism the nod here. Blake Martinez gets unnecessary hate. Bay Area vlogs, I could not agree more. Yes, he does. Can EQ play both slot and outside if they need him to? Yeah, I think so, Michael. He did last year a couple of times in the same game. And I know Geronimo Allison has been getting a lot of work there in the slot so far at the beginning of OTAs, but it's a long off season. I think we'll see EQ moved all over the place. I think primarily his best spot's probably on the perimeter, but I think he can do it all. Someone came from Reddit. Will Tony Brown become one of our top corners this year? Jacob, I think top corner is probably a bit optimistic, but the sky is the limit. I think he's got the talent. It's got a lot of guys to jump over to do that, but anybody who's watched me for a while knows that I really like the kid's talent. I really like his upside. His development is going to be largely down to him, how hard he wants to work. And if he puts in that work, I think, yes, he can absolutely 100% at least be in a regular rotation. Maybe not a starter, but yeah, 100%. He'll be there. Who will be the jet motion guy? I think they'll take turns doing a lot of that. Obviously, Trevor Davis is the most obvious answer, but that's dependent on him making the team. I think they'll use everybody. I think Devontae Adams will do that sometimes, and I think Kumaro sometimes, but we'll just have to wait and see. Think we go out and get Glover Quinn? I'd be very surprised. That doesn't feel like a Gutekunst move, but you never know. Have you lost all hope in Kaiser being a solid backup? Whew, that's a tough. I don't know about all hope, but I've lost a lot of hope. I mean, he's still young, right? Still young, still very young. Still got a lot of athletic gifts. New system, new coach. Maybe that helps unlock something. But man, I am not encouraged. Let's put it that way. Over under 5 sacks for Gary. Quill, in 2019, give me the under on that. Next transplants? Matthew, I have no idea. I'll have to ask Corey. Corey's actually on his way to California later this week, so it'll be a while. Favorite under-the-radar Packer of all time? Ooh, Chad, good question. Probably, I don't know. I mean, it's hard because these days, it's hard for a guy to go under the radar because the internet is so obsessive and sees it all, knows it all. Like, I would have said either Tony Fisher or DeJuan Harris, right? I love those guys. But we all know them. Like, that's not under the radar, really. But you go back to the day, probably Ezra Johnson in the 80s. I loved watching him, man. I loved his play. Guys like that probably don't get a ton of love now, that a lot of people don't remember. But there were guys on that team that I loved. Like, you know, you'd say like Paul Kaufman, but everyone knows Paul Kaufman. But yeah, maybe Ezra Johnson. I loved him. I want McCray to make the 53, but I don't see it happening. Does McCray have any possible trade value out there? Possibly, actually, because of the fact that he's got starting experience. He has played guard and tackle, though he didn't play tackle particularly well. But, I mean, the league is so bereft of offensive line talent that it's a possibility. Now, I don't think that happens, but, you know, crazier things have happened. And if someone were to call, say, close to cut down, and said, you know, we'll give you a 7th or a conditional 6th or something for McCray, then, yeah, maybe they make that move. It's a possibility. Going to see McCartney at Lambeau? No, I am not. But I hope everyone that goes truly enjoys it. Did it suck when you came to Ford Field every year? No, Ford Field's actually pretty lovely. I like the facility. It's great. And I actually like Detroit. But man, the Detroit Airport Westin on New Year's Eve, that's no good. Spencer Havner should have gotten more of a chance. That's what I'm talking about. Very sad that Wilkerson never really had a chance to prove himself with the Pack. Makes me mad. Matthew, I wouldn't let it make you mad. I mean, let's put it this way. He was serviceable, and he played fine his 2.5 weeks of service last year. But it's not like he really jumped off the screen at you. And it's not like I think they're going to miss him a whole lot. I saw the news of his unfortunate incident this past weekend, and hope for whatever is going on with him, I hope he gets right as rain. And I have zero doubt that if they were to suffer injuries along the front, he'd probably get a call once he's able to pass a physical. Save for Star Wars, what movie are you most excited for? Oh man, I can't even. Right now, nothing. Just Star Wars. That's it. All I care about. Walter Stanley. Mike, that's a good call. That's a good pull right there. If you're building a team, who's your back? Grant, Green, or Jones? That's a really tough question. Man, I don't know. Probably I'm on Green, but I love me some Ryan Grant. I love Aaron Jones. What's the big game of the year you have circled on your calendar? Week 1. Right there. I have never been to Lambeau, got to admit, it is on my bucket list. It better be, Mick. It's the Taj Mahal of NFL stadiums. It is the crown jewel. Got to get yourself there. Get there. And you know what a great way to do that is? A great way to gain entrance into Lambeau Field? Use Ticket King. Ticket King is available at cheeseheadtv.com. They've got all your ticket needs, both home and away, but particularly at Lambeau Field. Ticket King. It's around since 1992. Check them out. Gary, dumbest play you have ever seen from the Packers. Man, I lived through the 70s and 80s. I know the internet is infinite, but I ain't got time for all that. Do you see the Bears declining next year? Michael, I'll tell you what. I think they have an incredibly talented football team. I am very curious to see what kind of effect losing Vic Fangio has on that team. I think they have all the pieces they need to continue to be successful. But Vic Fangio is a really, really good coach. And that's not to take away from the staff they have on board now. But Fangio, I've always been a big fan of him, of his coaching, and I was really happy to see him leave the division. I think they're going to be a very tough out. You talk about declining, I have a hard time seeing them taking much of a step back. They are going to be right there. hopefully with the Packers. But the Bears, don't get it twisted. They're going to be a tough team to beat this year. Is Josh Sitton an under-the-radar Hall of Fame prospect? Joseph, I would think so. I would think people who watch the game, who know the game, who vote on these types of things would put him in. But they've kept Leroy Butler out for God knows how long, so I don't really hold out much hope of that happening. But Josh, for his play on the field, 1,000,000,000% is a Hall of Fame candidate, in my eyes. He's one of the best guards I ever watched. That was a shameless plug, Nags. No, Garrett, nay. It was not shameless nor pluggy. It was contractually obligated, actually. I don't think the Bears D will be the same. Yeah, for the most part, they'll probably have slightly different tones, so to speak, and perhaps might not be as vaunted / tough as it was in 2018, but it will still be tough. Nags, what's your favorite game you ever attended? Probably the Monday night game in Chicago in the Monsoon when Favre did the run around. Edgar Bennett tore it up that day, I think 200 plus yards, whatever. That game was insane. Insane. Ha! How did your daughter get to meet the Star Wars dude? Yes, for those of you on Twitter this morning saw my oldest got to meet Adam Driver. I'll tell you how. She got up and went to Times Square at 4 a.m. and stood outside Good Morning America's stage door. 4 a.m. People are like, oh, are your daughters as obsessed with Star Wars as you are? Exhibit A. But yes, and the fun part of the story is that she was there from 4 a.m. and she was talking to the security guard, obviously, for a while because there's nothing much else to do. And he told Adam Driver's publicist, this girl's been here since 4 a.m. And Driver had not planned on stopping, but when he heard that my daughter had been there since 4 a.m., he did stop and took a picture with her, which I thought was incredibly kind. Biggest difference between Pagano and Fangio, good or bad news for LaFleur's offense? That's a good question, Nick. For me, Fangio trusts his front four way more than Pagano does. And that's not to say Pagano is a bad coach or anything like that. Fangio, he knows. He can play coverage in any number of ways behind the pressure he's going to get from four. Now, that doesn't mean he's not risk averse. It doesn't mean he doesn't like blitzing. He certainly will dial one up. But Pagano, I think, is a little less patient. And I think that, to me, is the biggest difference. And as far as what it will portend for LaFleur and his offense, it's really hard to get any kind of semblance of what it's going to mean for LaFleur's offense until we get an idea of what LaFleur's offense is. I mean, I know we talk about his coaching tree and his lineage and stops he's had, and he's worked with Shanahan, he's worked with McVay, etc. But what exactly his offense is going to be, we don't really know yet. So wait and see. Chris Jackie or Mason Crosby? Chris Jackie. Do you think the media is underrating our young receivers? Well, Peter, it depends on which media you're talking about. If you're talking about the national media, undoubtedly. If you're talking about the local media, I think the coverage I've seen has been pretty fair and balanced, but none of it means a whole lot until they get on the field in this new system. Should we be looking for more experienced assistant considering LaFleur's injury history? Thomas? Not a bad idea. Can you meet players with the Lodge Kohler sideline experience? Dylan, that's an excellent question that I am not quite sure of the answer of. I would imagine yes. It's called the sideline experience. I would hope so. And it's Kohler, and that thing is not inexpensive, but I'm not sure. I know Packers PR/marketing has a meet and greet area after every practice. And they kind of shuffle through players where you get autographs, but that's a very hyper-specific to Packers PR and marketing, and I don't know how you get involved in that, how they pick people to be in there. Maybe it's a fan club thing or whatever. I have no idea. Can MVS be a great wide receiver? Absolutely. Now, look, I understand he was drafted late, and he was up and down last year. He got kind of hot there in the middle of the year and then tailed off. But I'm here to tell you, this kid's upside is insane. A lot of this is going to be down to how much Aaron Rodgers trusts him, how much work he puts in, and where he's utilized in LaFleur's offense. But I'm here to tell you, the potential, the ceiling, star. NFL star. You heard it here first. Are we picking up any other free agents? Anton, nothing that I've heard, nothing that's been reported. But as Gutekunst told me on Nagler's Never Right a few weeks ago, they're always looking. They put in a waiver claim for a tight end that got released a couple weeks ago. They're always looking, always churning, always got their eyes on what's available. So it's possible. I don't see anything happening on the horizon, but you never really know. Ooh, that's a deep cut right there, John. Kylo Ren or Asajj Ventress? Asajj Ventress. All day, every day. She is badass. And not for nothing, you just listed my oldest daughter's 2 favorite Star Wars characters of all time. So props to you. Will Packers ever play in London? Seems like I get this question all the time. It will happen eventually. When eventually is, I can't tell you. But it will happen. After this year, after 2019, they will be the only team who hasn't played in London, although I suspect you know that. But they're going to have to go over at some point. Let's get back to the playoffs. Playoffs? Playoffs? I'm sorry, I'm obligated to say that. Jamal, you're saying Javon Moore, but I think you mean Jamon Moore, is your dark horse. There's a guy that does get lost in the discussion quite a little bit because of his disappearing act last year, but hey, they used a pretty significant pick on the kid, and it is a new system, clean slate, etc. He's just got to hold on to the ball. Just hold on to the ball. If he does that, he'll be cooking with gas. I wish people would relax. Just look at what Goody has assembled. They all have upside, more than down a few possible greats. Let's watch them play out. Yeah, Alex, I agree. Let's all just go home. 94 days. I'll see you guys then. We come here and we talk, man. We chat. It's all good. Ooh, chill. Nags, you worried about a lockout? Are you kidding me? I'm trying to get through the day, much less 2 years from now. No, the only thing I worry about is my kids. There's a lockout, there's a lockout. I survived one, I'll survive another one. As a great one once said, the roof is the ceiling. Amen to that. I miss Jeff Janis. See, you're the one. When the Pack gets to London, you coming to take in a Chelsea game? I hope so. Man, if it lined up, I could see both in London. I'd just about die and go to heaven. That'd be amazing. You do a pretty good job at this. Cool chat. Thanks, Mick. Very nice of you to say. Hey, if you like what you see and you like the setup, you like the digs, go over to Patreon. Go to patreon.com/cheeseheadtv. $5 a month is all we ask to support everything we do, whether it's this, whether it's Packer Transplants, the website, extra cheese, and you get exclusive access to my podcast, Nagler's Never Right, which will be up on Wednesday night. I'm going to have to leave it there, everyone. Thank you so much for all the questions. Sorry if I couldn't get to yours. You guys know there's a ton of you here, and I love you all. Please like, subscribe, share, whether you're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, hell, YouTube, like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family. Thanks a lot, everybody. I'll have an extra cheese tomorrow, and then I'll be back here for daily on Wednesday, along with my podcast Wednesday night. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great night.